Hello and welcome to another command block tutorial. Today's video we have something very interesting. We have a much larger command block creation than usual. What we're going to be doing is adding our own custom skeleton boss into Minecraft. Alright. Oh, that's second phase lighting. I need to heal. Okay, so you guys just kind of got a preview of the boss fight. Now, before we go into the commands themselves, I'm going to do a little demonstration of what we're actually doing here with the boss fight. I'm going to just box the guy in real quick. But I'm also going to have a full fight scene of me fighting the boss at the end of the video. So make sure to stay tuned to the end or go ahead and skip to the end if you want to see that. But I'm going to demonstrate the unique features of the boss. Then I will actually go into the commands of how you can make him for yourself. Okay, so the way that we're going to summon this boss is when we throw a diamond on a bone block. It's going to fizz, it's going to puff, and then boom, lightning. And then the skeleton boss is going to summon it. So right now I have him fenced in just so he's not moving around and whatnot. Now the skeleton boss has, you saw one of his attacks. He has two unique attacks. Oops, there's the other one. Now these attacks are kind of randomized and they're going to be happening during the fight. For instance, that one right there that you just saw, he basically summons an orb right above his head, and it's just going to shoot off in whatever direction facing the player. And that is going to do a decent amount of damage, however, it actually can be blocked with a shield. Now, the other attack you saw, he did it twice. We get a little message in chat, lightning inbound, right there. We get that little particle effect, and then boom, lightning. So as soon as you see lightning inbound, you need to, book it out of there. And you can see he's going to be constantly doing these attacks on top of having a bow. Now the attacks, the durations between them are slightly randomized, so that way you get a unique boss effect every time you do it. But yeah, basically these are going to be his two effects. He has a bunch of extra health. As you can see, I'm using a Smite 5 sword, so normally that should be able to one-shot a skeleton. As you can see, he's taking a ton of hits. And then boom. Once we deal enough damage to him, he enters his second phase. So he loses his bow and gets a sword. This means that he's in melee mode. Now, he still has the same attacks. Of course, now he's in melee mode. He has a netherite ingot in his offhand, and that's because that's the reward you get when you kill him. Now, the other unique thing about when he gets into melee mode, before I was able to shoot him as much as I wanted. But now, similar to the Wither, when you get him into his second phase, all arrows just kind of evaporate before they hit him. Now there's a chance they can hit him, but it's a really low chance, so you more or less, if you actually want to kill him, you actually have to get up close and fight him with a sword. It's just going to be, as you can see, basically evaporating all the arrows before they even get a chance to touch him. So finally, as you can see, we're going to keep killing him. His armor's actually going to start breaking as you get him nearly dead, and then boom, he's dead, and he drops his stuff for you guys to pick up. So yeah, that is kind of how we're doing this boss fight. So we have custom attacks, custom animations, custom spawning sequence. Now you can actually spawn him anywhere in the world that you want. I can put another bone block over here, and if I throw a diamond on it, it's going to start. If I pick up the diamond, it will cancel it, so you can choose if you want to or not. But yeah, that's basically how the boss fight works. So you guys want to see the full boss fight, it's going to be at the end of the video, but for now, we're going to get into the commands. Okay, the commands for these are going to require two scoreboards. So we're going to have lightning, and we're going to have skelly. Now, we need both of these scoreboards to work, so what you need to do is these two commands, you can either type them in chat, type them in impulse command block, and turn them on, just activate them. Doesn't really matter how you do it, it does need to be done if you want this to function. Once you have those scoreboard functions enabled, what we're actually going to do is, well, first I'm going to demonstrate what's actually going to happen. So I'm going to put on sidebar skelly. So what's going to happen here is that once you can just ignore the thing that's already on there. We drop the diamonds on here, it's going to start slowly adding up, and then once it hits 10, it's going to summon the skeleton. So what you're going to see here is now the skeleton is at 18, so that's the lower number, ignore the top number, right? It's going to be counting down. Once it hits -1, it's going to summon the attack in, and then the attack's going to bolt off. It's going to be on a timer. That's what the other number is, that's counting towards 100. Once it gets to 100, it's going to kill itself. And the other number that you see is the cooldown waiting for this guy to attack again. And that's what the Skelly is. Other scoreboard that we have is lightning. Now, it works exactly the same as the other one. Basically, once this number hits -1, which you guys are going to see here in just a second, it's going to do a little animation and it's going to summon its secondary attack, then set itself to a random number. So we have lightning and bounce, boom. Then it's going to set itself to a random number between two ranges that we pre-decided, and that's going to be how long until it does the heavy lightning attack again. So that's basically it in terms of how the scoreboard functions, and that's like these two things, which are its special attacks. This right here is all about summoning it in, which looks like a lot of commands. It's really just to make sure it has the proper effects that we want, as well as the armor that we want. This is for the bolt attack, so like the, not that, though, sorry, the lightning. And then this is the bolt attack right here. And this is what changes the thing once we get it to the second phase. So like I was saying with the arrows before, I'm able to shoot this guy with arrows right now. And you can actually deal with him quite easily this way, which is why I wanted it, once it gets into melee mode, you're no longer able to use the arrows. So you see it doesn't take a ton of arrows. I mean, it takes a little bit, but it's not too hard to just load it into a guy. Boom, now I can't really hit him with arrows anymore. Now they're all getting evaporated. It takes a second to kind of fully convert. But yeah, you guys get the idea. And so these set of commands right here is what's going to change him into melee mode, which is going to give him the diamond sword, going to give him netherite chestplate, going to give him the netherite ingot, which he has a chance of dropping when you kill him. It's going to give him health back, because what we're doing is we're taking the totem that was in the skeleton. Once the totem's gone, we're going to heal him and then trigger all these other effects, which is going to give him the different gear, as well as give him the ability to kill arrows that are near him, as we see. And that's all based on killing him with a totem, which is how we like detect that enough damage has been done. So we just kill this guy real quick, and then we can actually get into the commands. Like I said, you're going to need to do these scoreboard commands. You can't ignore them. If you guys are not used to scoreboard commands, watch my first tutorial. You don't need to watch my second one to understand this tutorial, because that is about operations and I don't use any of them here. But if you've never used scoreboards, please watch my tutorial. It'll help you a lot with making this. But other than that, you are allowed to just simply follow the commands exactly how I have them here. But there is a lot, so just be ready for that. Okay, first thing we're going to be doing is checking for a diamond. If there's a bone block beneath it, which is what this command does, we're going to add the score Skelly to the diamond. So if you remember when I had the bone block here, change to Skelly real quick, ignore the 100, it's going to start adding up. I'm going to cancel it before it does, but it starts adding up. Once it hits 10, then it summons in the skeleton and gives the skeleton all of its unique features. So the other thing I should mention is on a 5-tick delay. So the next thing we're going to be doing is for any diamonds with a Skelly score between 1 and 10, go ahead and put the knockback roar particle. Then, same thing, except with the random fizz noise, which is the sound you guys are hearing. Then we're going to actually summon in this lightning bolt, just to make it special as like this summon effect that summons in a lightning bolt. Then it's going to summon in the skeleton right afterwards. Now we have it named Bones of Old. You can change it to anything you want, but make sure when you change the name of the skeleton, you change it in all of the commands that it's used in, because the name is important for some of these commands and some of these commands. So if you do want to change it, make sure you change it in all the commands, not just here, or you will not have things work. But other than that, go ahead and just put it in like this. Then we're going to give it fire resistance, that way it's not getting hurt by the lightning. We're going to give it resistance so it doesn't die nearly as easily. We're going to give it speed just so it moves around a little bit quicker. Then we can go over here. So this is the next set of chain commands. I believe this is just a 0-tick delay. It is. So anything that is named Bones of Old but does not have the tag Skelly, because what we're going to do is we're going to do a set of commands, then we're going to give it the tag Skelly so that way it doesn't happen again. So this is what's going to give it the extra health. So we get a bunch of seconds of health boost times 20. Anything that is named Bones of Old but does not have the tag Skelly. immediately afterwards, we're going to do the exact same thing, except with 5 seconds of instant damage. Because health boost is going to give it the extra health, but it's not going to heal it. So because it's a skeleton, instant damage actually heals it rather than damages it. We have this command following the health boost. This is going to heal up those missing hearts. After that, we just have a bunch of replace item commands. Same system, but has the name Bones of Old, does not have the tag Skelly. Give it a golden helmet. Same thing, golden chest plate. Same thing, golden leggings. Same thing, golden boots. And of course, we're going to give it a totem in the offhand. This is how we detect once the skeleton uses up the totem, that's when we move it into the second phase. And finally, we're just going to give it the tag Skelly. That way it's not doing these set of commands again. It's not giving you health boost again. It's not giving it gold armor again. It's like done with these set of commands. So that is all the commands that you need in order to actually summon the boss set. So the next set of commands that we have here, these are what's going to be summoning the lightning bolt. So what we're doing here is we're removing 1 score of lightning from skeleton. This is happening every 10 ticks, so make sure this is on a 10 tick delay. Then, whenever the skeleton is on a -1 score for lightning, it's going to do this animation for 3 seconds. So the animation of Evoker casting for 3 seconds. This is what raises its arms above its head. Then it is going to summon the armor stand, so it's going to be executing at the skeleton. Then, for any player within 40 blocks, it's going to summon an armor stand 5 blocks beneath them. The reason we're doing it 5 blocks beneath them instead of right at the player is that we don't want the player to accidentally click and give the thing that they're holding in their hand to the armor stand by accident, because I did that while I was testing. So instead we're doing it underground. It's going to be invisible, so it's not going to affect anything, but this way we're not accidentally clicking it. Then we're going to give a warning for everybody that is within 40 blocks. Hey, lightning inbound. It's going to give a warning in chat so that players know to move from their current location. Then we're going to give the bolt, the armor stand here, invisibility. And then this is the part that sets the cooldown. So if you remember, we have 10 ticks, which means half a second. What this is doing is setting the lightning score somewhere between 20 and 60. So I'm going to choose a random one. So after it does the lightning attack, it's going to set the cooldown anywhere between 20 and 60, which is anywhere between 10 and 30 seconds. It's going to choose a random number so that way the attack is slightly different each time. You're not able to predict it as well, and it makes it a little more unique. If you want to increase the maximum time between, if you want to make it happen less often, make the bigger number bigger. If you want to make it happen more often, you can make both numbers smaller, like this. Now, I like it at 20 and 60. My testing, it worked well, but if you guys want to adjust how often it happens, make these numbers lower. Make sure the second number is always bigger than the first, but if you want to make it happen more often, make these numbers lower. If you want to make it happen less often, make one or both of these numbers higher. So that's how the lightning bolt actually summons. These commands are for the attack itself. So what we're doing here is for the armor stand named bolt, we're going to start adding the score of lightning 1. Now this is on a 3 tick delay, by the way. Then for anything that is named bolt has a lightning score of 1 to 10, give it the critical hit emitter. This is like the kind of particle area that happens before the lightning strikes. If you remember, since this is underground, we want this to happen 6 blocks above the armor stand. That'll be about where the player is. Then, once the score hits 11, we're going to summon the lightning bolt 5 blocks above. And finally, we're going to kill the lightning bolt, the little bolt armor stand, once it's at score 11. That's it for the second set of commands. That's going to be the lightning bolt. So then next up is the kind of like bolt attack, where it's like a particle bolt line thingy, a bob, big doohickey. You know what I mean. Okay, so for these commands, what we're going to be doing here, it's actually going to be very similar in the way it summons the commands, and just very different in what happens afterwards. So here, we're removing from anything with the tag Skelly, so this will be the boss, the score of Skelly 1. I know it's confusing to use the same tag and scoreboard, just make sure you're copying it exactly how you see it. So, if anything has the score of Skelly -1, it's going to go ahead and do the same animation, but for a shorter duration this time. Then it's going to summon the armor stand 7.5 blocks above it. Just follow these coordinates. I know it might not make sense, but this is what worked best to the testing. It's going to go ahead and summon the armor stand named Rod 7.5 blocks above the skeleton. Then it's going to give the rod visibility, and it's going to do the same thing. We're going to be summoning or setting the scoreboard to a random time. I have this one between 7 and 30, and basically that's how it's doing the random attacks. Similarly, this is also on a 10-tick delay, but similar to what I said for Lightning Bolt, if you want it to happen more often, make these numbers lower. If you want it to happen less often, make these numbers higher. Okay, then we get into the actual how this bolt functions. So what we're doing here is just making the rod teleport at itself, because if you notice, it doesn't immediately attack the player. It summons above it, waits for a few seconds, and then attacks the player. So this is going to make sure the armor stands floating in place during this period. This is just teleporting itself to itself, is what this command is doing. Then we're going to be doing this particle command. So basically, at the armor stand, run this particle, but 5 blocks below it. If you'll remember, it's going to be much higher. This way the player doesn't accidentally click it. Okay. Next up, we're going to be doing the same thing we did over here, except instead of lightning, using Skelly. So for anything that is named Rod, that's an armor stand, start adding the scoreboard of Skelly 1 to it. So then what it's going to be doing is it's going to be teleporting itself in place from Skelly 1 to 20, right? So this is going to be the first several part of a second. It's going to be above the skeleton, and it's going to be standing completely still, and it's just going to be aiming towards the player. That's what this command does. The next command, once it is a score of Skelly 21 or above, so once it gets once it's waited for however many half seconds, right? Then it's going to start teleporting forward. This is going to be in the direction that the player is, but it's going to be only teleporting forward. This means it's not going to be able to track onto the player, so that way the player has the option to dodge. Then it's just going to be doing the same particle command that we did before. Now the next command here is going to be the one that's actually going to give the damage. So what we're going to be doing here is basically anything that's named Rod has a Skelly score 21 or higher. It's going to be looking 5 blocks below itself. It's going to be looking to damage anybody within that range. It's going to do 6 entity attack damage, and the entity that's going to be dealing the damage is the skeleton boss. Now, similar to all the damage commands, if you want to make it do more damage, make this number higher. If you make it do less damage, make this number lower. It's up to you. Now, the nice thing about doing an entity attack and then targeting at the skeleton means that players can actually use the shield to block the damage from this attack. Then we are literally going to be repeating these commands. So teleport itself forward, do the gas particle, and then do the actual damage. The reason we're doing these 2 sets of 3 repeated commands is that this allows the bolt to travel faster and still function exactly the same. Finally, we're going to be killing the armor stand Skelly, the rod, once it hits a Skelly score of 100 or higher. So after a certain time, it's just going to poof out of existence. Finally, we're going to be having this random.fizz. This is only 3-tick delay, by the way. But this means that as the little bolt is passing by, it's going to make this little fizzy noise. That just adds a little bit of immersion. Alright, that is it for its custom attacks. So the last bit that we have is just getting into the actual second phase of the boss fight. So I've done this before in other videos on how to detect when a bomb basically dies using a totem by checking if the totem's gone. And this is how we do it. So we're going to check for anything that has the tag Skelly, but does not have the tag Melee. Similar to how the tag Skelly represented that we entered the first phase, we're going to give it the tag Melee once we're showing that the boss is in the second phase. So if it does have the tag Skelly, but it doesn't have the tag Melee, and it doesn't have a totem, so what we're doing is we're using has item, checking for the item totem, but a quantity of 0. That means this will only work if the entity does not have a totem of Undying. If so, we're going to give them the health boost effect again. Then the next command exactly the same as before, we're giving them the instant damage again. It's the same setup up here, but we're giving instant damage for 5 seconds times 20 to heal those missing hearts up. So the first phase is going to have as much health as the second phase. Then we do some more replace items. Same thing here, tag equals skelly, tag equals not melee, has item. It's going to be the same for all of these, so I'm not going to repeat it anymore. But we're replacing the main item with a diamond sword. Then we're going to do this little animation here. It's kind of hard to see because I also do a lightning strike, but there's a little animation that happens whenever it enters its second phase. Then we're going to summon a lightning bolt at the mob. This is more of a decoration thing. You don't need to include it, but it looks a lot cooler, and it makes it pretty clear when you've entered the second phase. Then we're going to do a little particle effect similar to the lightning. This is just to make it look visually cooler. Then we're just going to give it a netherite ingot in its offhands with replace item. We're going to give it a netherite helmet. This is because the gold helmet is going to break during the course of this fight, and then the skeleton's going to be kind of afraid to come out in the sunlight because its helmet broke. So we give a netherite helmet. It also makes it look cooler, and it's just kind of a little more intimidating because then you have like the second phase of this fight, right? So he looks kind of different during the second phase on top of having a sword. And finally, what we're going to be doing is simply adding the tag melee. This just is going to say, hey, we are in the second phase of this boss fight, and don't do all of these things a second time. Like, once it's done at once, we don't need to do it again. Finally, what we're going to be doing is for anything that has the tag melee, so the boss only when it's in its second phase, right? Anytime there's an arrow within 5 blocks, it's going to run this little llama spit smoke. This makes it look like the arrow kind of evaporated. And then finally, we're also going to be killing any arrow within 5 blocks. This makes it so you basically can't ever shoot the boss. You actually have to melee it to death. So anyways, that is all the commands that we have here. I hope you guys enjoyed, found this informative. If you guys are adding this to your world, please go over everything very carefully, as there's a lot of commands here and one typo could really mess you up. So please go very slowly, pause. I showed every command in this video, as well as the necessary tick delays. So please, 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 when you're doing this in your own world, go over everything very, very carefully. If you have questions about the commands themselves, as always, join our Discord, because our Discord is very helpful. There are a lot of smart guys on there, as well as myself, who are able to help you out with commands. Now, you can always leave a comment, but I always say that you will get a better response if you actually join our Discord. On top of that, I really hope you guys enjoyed. This is a very different video for me. As you can see, it's a much bigger tutorial than I usually do. Now, I've done commands like this for personal projects before, but I've never really done something this big as part of a tutorial. I don't know how it's going to work, but if you guys really do like this video, if this video performs well and stuff, I'll absolutely make more of these in the future. I already have an idea for like an Enderman boss, but these types of tutorials are a little more work than usual. So if you guys do like this content, make sure you give it some love and support, and you will see more of it in the future. Beyond that, I am gonna basically, this is the end of the tutorial phase, so if that's all you want, feel free to end the video now, but I'm gonna basically now have a full fight scene between me and this boss, so you guys can kind of get a really cool idea of what it's actually gonna be like. So, hope you guys enjoy. Alright, as you can see, I got this nice little convenient arena right here. I'm just gonna wait for myself to heal up before I actually try and fight this guy, because it's gonna be a bad idea if I try to fight him on low health. A Smite 5 sword, a Power 5 bow, a stack of arrows, and a shield. Some diamond armor, just so you know what kind of gear I'm wearing. And then I have a decent amount of steak. Or beef, I guess. That's the same thing. I have 5 regular golden apples and then 1 notch apple. Just so you guys know what kind of gear I'm walking into this with. You do need some good gear in order to fight this guy. Alright. As you can see, I can block that attack. Actually, if you do block that attack, because of the way the shield works, because of the way the shield works, it actually does a ton of knockback. It's just really funny. Uh-oh. Yeah, I'll still let you attack this ton of damage. And I can't see anything for like the rest of the fight. Oh crap. we almost got him to second phase, I think. Oh, that's second phase lighting. Alright, he's in second phase now. As you can see, I can't really shoot him now, so I gotta actually fight him, like, close up. I need to heal. Alright, notch apple, this should be enough. He's low, his gold armor's broken, which means he's almost dead. Oh, let's go. Now, you guys can see how I'm really well geared, right? I have diamonds, netherite stuff. This is basically as high of gear as you can get in this game. So if you have less than full sets of gear, you're probably going to die to this guy, like, really quickly. I really needed this shield. The shield saves me a bunch too, so I also recommend that when fighting this guy. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Once again, if you want to see more of these boss fight command tutorial creations, make sure to show this video some love and support, as they are quite a lot of work to make. And I'm not sure how much people are going to like them, just because they're a much longer tutorial. But yeah, if you guys want to see more, definitely show some love on this video. Like I said earlier, I have some ideas for an Enderman boss fight if you guys also want to see that. But beyond that, I hope you guys enjoyed. Bye.